Welcome everybody. Today is March the 3rd, 2025. This is the Kubeflow bi-weekly meetings. So thank you everybody for joining. This meeting is being recorded and as usual it follows the CNCF code of conduct. So typically we run this Model Registry bi-weekly every other week, just after the release meetings for those of you joining from that one. During this time, we are focusing on any request that is coming from the release or related teams. So thanks. This is also a chance to again repeat the thankful for that is coming from the release and the platform team on the work that the team has been doing for working towards that deliverables. I'll just go very quickly for sort of like what I have here for the Kubeflow 1.10 release so that we can mark these bigger agenda item sooner, and then we can move on to any post-release or any post-Kubeflow 1.10 things. So for the manifest, so far we are keeping in sync with the Kubeflow modernized releases we are making. So I think that any manifest changes that we needed, at least from the Model Registry side, is kept in sync. We had a pull request to update the syncing script as well. Just a quick round of check with the UI team. I don't know if to ask Eder or Lucas, is there any modification that you're seeing in flight for the UI manifest that we will need it for our next RC release? Because as far as I know, there is none, but I prefer to double check. Yeah, go for it, Lucas. You're muted. You're muted.
You say, do you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Oh, it's kind of weird. It wasn't working my microphone. Not sure why. Like, okay, so nope. Uh, well, I'm not sure. Like, I answering that thread, but Julius didn't reply. There's the situation with the Kubeflow config map, the dashboard, like the Kubeflow central dashboard configuration config map, which we decided previously to not add an overlay since that will mess up with kserf, and we added that one line instruction. He suggested to get an overlay right there. It's just like 10 minutes PR. Like I had that previously, so it wouldn't be that a lot of work right there. I suggested to just use the, since we are optional, to just use that one line terminal command rather than having that thing and maybe causing conflicts with kserf installations. But I don't know if they wanna ask how to have that overlay. I'm open to just have that.
Yeah, but this is something that, in my opinion, we can eventually defer to the 1.10.0 release, right? Because so far, with the manifest that we have, sort of like the instructions can be followed. So okay, I just really wanted to check that we don't have anything in flight that is kind of like a mandatory. Okay, thank you. And indeed, it's like I understand that there are some changes that we need to plan ahead for the post 1.10. So I think that these I will file it under the bucket, like for you have a tracker already for the instructions and in a general way. So it can be tracked there, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, and so far, like everything's ready for 1.10.0. That thing that I was mentioned from Julius, it's just an enhancement that can go there, but I wouldn't think that we can wait until a minor release or whatever. And so far, everything's ready, and we've proved that people in the community has been able to install Model Registry with the current manifest. So yeah, I will say like everything's ready there. So yeah.
Yeah, so we merged the PR. I mean, the PR is merged that you provided with the instruction for the website. So that is CNCF Slack and community user also confirm on instructions. Later, if you can, Lucas, please allow me give a link here because not to scavenge the thread,
Yeah.
but you can add it here. Thank you so much for following this as well with the community user. I think it's a great important thing, and we can move forward with it. Excellent. So we have some post, I would say 1.10 follow-up items that indeed is marked in the tracker issue for the installation instructions going forward. But this can be done, I think, as a less urgent matters of the 1.10. What is of importance for the 1.10 is indeed to provide like some slide or some content for the blog post. So here, just to check, I know that Alessio has been working on the one for the CSI. I just wanted to make sure that Lucas and you, Heather, and or the rest of the team is keeping this under the on the radar, because they will need this information by mid of this month, if I understand. So it's in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I added a point right there that we've handed over some instructions to Dimitris. We had some sort of documentations. It was in Markdown, so I've attached the link right there. It's down below. It's just like inside the point of coordinate with Dimitris. I added a UI, and yeah, that's a draft note in a personal. Yeah, well, you can follow up the link, but it's so far that's the all the documentation that we handed over for the blog post. Some screenshots and so on.
So since we will be required to sort of like help the liaisons to make a demo or to talk through the slides, do you have some, are you planning to record a short demo, like 10 minutes or whatever it is? And then a longer, for here, this meeting can be as long as you want. But for that meeting, we will likely need it of a 10 minutes mark. So up to you if you prefer to coordinate with Milos to sort of like make him ready to demonstrate it, if so you choose, or you can coordinate with Milos to sort of like decide on what this short demo should show, and then sort of like deliver the video.
I forgot, like, Dimitris hasn't reached back us again once we send him that like the documentation. But yeah, like I have for this week the goal to record like that. It's in my backlog to record the demo. I'm focused today on bringing a nasty Model Registry bug that it's in midstream that Mike Charlie told me about. Like there's an issue with patching some labels. So I'm working on that to bring that fix into upstream. And once we have that, I'll record the demo with premature reading, because so far we have right now a working cluster to do some demos right there.
Yeah, makes sense. My ask here, I mean, we can keep tabs on it. My suggestion, kind of like a suggestion and ask, is if you can kindly coordinate with Milos to say, hey, Milos, we are planning of giving you a 10-minute video. Does it suit? Because ultimately it's the liaisons who will be responsible to coordinate with the release team. So if you can check with him, I think it will be great.
Yeah, I'll do it. We have an open conversation with both Dimitri and Milos, and I'll go there and coordinate with them. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Matteo, just before we are planning to record one video for our whole team, right?
You mean for the whole Kubeflow community?
No, for the whole Model Registry.
So the way it works for these videos is the following. So here we're speaking of the Kubeflow 1.10 release.
Yep.
What happens is that for this one, what is a deliverable that we are asked to do is that at some point they need to cut a blog post and a video of the highlights. In this, there is everything that goes into Kubeflow 1.10. So it's not only Model Registry, it's everybody.
I see.
So it will be limited. If I recall correctly, it's between 10 to 20 minutes per each working group. And the release team says, if you want, you can come to our release team meeting, that is the meeting that happens just before, and demo it live there at a certain date. But in my opinion, it is better if we can anticipate the videos and provide it to them, so that if there are, any hiccups with the live demos, we don't risk it at just a meeting. This is my personal.
No, absolutely. My question is more that when we are showing the UI, should we highlight also some work in the Model Registry API side, like to make an integrated demo? You know what I mean? To make like one demo that represent the work of our whole working group, not just the UI bits.
The thing is that the UI is a key element, so I think that we should dedicate as much time as possible to dedicate for any UI element. If while you do so, you want also to give a shout out to any modification that was done, absolutely. So perfectly fine.
Is there a list somewhere for me and Lucas to see of the things that we can potentially include for Monte?
This and compile it, but I think it's for instance on the backend side, I think that we have the other item here of the CSI for the custom storage initializer, and I think this can be done as a sort of like an append, so sort of like as a kind of like it's not related to UI, it's a pure backend feature that is like we can deal with it as another, I don't know, 3-minute video, 2-minute video, 60 seconds.
I see.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So Alessio, I think that you added this item to present for PPT. I don't know if you wanted to, or for me to open it and quickly share it, just to go, not a presentation now, but if you want to speak to this item.
Yeah, I would do the presentation because in the previous meetings I already said everything that I had to do on updates on the CSI module and the inference service controller. But yeah, if you guys want to take a look at the slides and give me feedback for the release, I will be happy to receive any feedback or comments about it, so I can give the link to Dominic and work with him for the blog release.
Thank you, Alessio. Just an action item maybe for you, please, that I merged the speaking earlier with Eder. If you can think of, I don't know, a very short video demo that you want to pre-record to give it to Milos about this part, I think it will be great to complement not only for the blog post and the presentation, but sort of like that people can look it up as well.
Yeah, will do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So what else we have? Yeah, Ramesh. You're muted, Ramesh.
Just on the Alessio's work, just wanting to see if there were any examples we have showcased or the documentation wise. I have not checked with that. Just trying to get a confirmation.
Yeah, we both have examples for the CSI module on the Kubeflow website and also on KServe, I think. Yeah, also on KServe.
Cool.
The links are present in the presentation if you want to have any support. Yeah, here in the storage containers.
Yeah, it was here. Because I think that at a certain point we had went here and we even sort of like that. Maybe what we can do is that we can go and append even further if we so wanted in the examples here. Because this is sort of like shows how to get started with the CSIs. Maybe it can be a link from this documentation to the Kubeflow documentation website, Alessio, if you want.
Yeah.
Because maybe what we are missing is that since Alessio, you made the this one here, I think that what can be done is indeed to link it further to know how to use it as well, from here to here, something like this.
Nice idea. I will open it. Yeah.
Alrighty, so this is for everything that sort of like was of pressing for the 1.10. Just a quick moment to check if anybody can see if I missed on any item for the 1.10. Please raise your hand or add it to the agenda item if sort of like it comes to mind later. All right, I think that I've added this item, but I also see that Madi is here and actually pointed to one of the things. So I think that I can rearrange the functionality like this. So the news is that the Docker pull limits will be updated, and the release team and the platform team is looking to add the GSCR as another registry where to push these images. We have Madi here. Thank you for joining us today. I saw that you raised a GitHub element here. So if you wanted to speak to this item.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity, and I will follow your guideline to open a PR and adjust the change, and then I will ask you to review it. Yeah, I also had a quick look on the scripts and the multiple workflow that you have. So I think I have a brief idea of what I need to change, but I will commit and you can give me more guidance. Yeah, that's everything. Thank you.
This is thank you, Madi, for your contributions here. This was a part of I've linked back an old GitHub item that we had tracked for this that we were to pull some community efforts behind it. So most welcome for your efforts here, and thank you for taking into account. Indeed, it's like if you see that the modifications are quite small, my suggestion is just open up here. No need to further changes. If you see instead that the changes are starting to become bigger, I would suggest first to highlight how you're planning to make the big changes in the GitHub issue so that we can have everybody from the community to discuss on it.
Of course.
But thank you so much for this.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Anything else that you wanted to add, Madi, here to this element?
No, just I mentioned that I did also in 2 other components, so I saw that maybe I can change that here as well. No, that was just for reference.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Adair.
Yeah, Magic, I don't want to give you more work, but if you are interested in helping us in notebooks as well, we need to do a similar work. I just reach out to you on the Slack channel right now if you are interested as well there.
Yeah, I will do that. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah,
perfect. Thank you. Awesome, man.
No, fantastic. Thank you, Madi. But I will play a little bit tongue in cheek. Please kindly help us in the Model Registry first.
Yeah, yeah. Do this in the line. Like first fix because I need also the Model Registry. So first Model Registry and then go there, please. Don't. Yeah, respect the line.
No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, Madi. And I think that
I'm not, Mateo. He should do Model Registry first.
I think that your efforts are also very much recognized in the community, which is great. So I think it can be a great example as well to the community in general. Thank you, right. Eder, while I have you here, I think that you have on your next agenda item.
Yeah, I don't know, Lucas, if you want to speak about this, or should I?
Yes, I can talk about that.
Yep.
There's a plan right now on migrating all the code in Midstream to the new architecture, to modular architecture. So that's making us deciding which parts of Model Registry Midstream should reside in the upstream repository and which ones should go downstream. there's still some decisions to be made on how are we gonna handle all the strategy and so far, but that's that. In the meantime, we are planning on just adding all the settings panel actually in standalone mode. Since users, we already have the settings panel in standalone mode, meaning it's outside all the Kubeflow release scale. It's just for like development purposes and seeing the screens and everything else. And our plan was just to get BFF to staff all the and mock the data of those endpoints, so we can then port that back into midstream and get everything working and start kicking the flow of upstream first development and then getting all together that stream. That was the end goal since the beginning, and this is the mid steps to do that. I see Adam here, so that's for your interest. We are working alongside the Model Registry team to make sure we can get that and we can pour the full-fledged feature into model architecture. Yeah, it means each feature that it's not still in Kubeflow. In that regard, we've been having some conversations around how are we gonna pull this on. And one of the things that we've realized is that as we know right now, we cannot make all the settings panels work upstream since there's no model registry controller upstream. So the first topic that we wanted to bring is we didn't get and we weren't there as why we decided to not get the model registry operator upstream. Or is there any plan to bring that upstream in at some point on the life cycle?
No, because currently the way that the working group platform, I understand, wants to do it is that the installation of the thing, I mean, just in general, and I oversimplify. So if Julius was here, I think that he will, of course, put the details. But very sort of like high-level simplification is that the manifest is responsible to giving you the bare bone on how you can install a Kubeflow platform. So there is already some discussion on the Helm installation because Helm is seen as trying to customize too much and doing that. So there is already there. The reason why the operator is not upstream here is simply because indeed from a decision of a Kubeflow project point of view, things are installed through manifest. If, however, times are changing as they always are, and this is seen more as of a controller, and so maybe, but this is something that we need to have somebody from platform working group to discuss with, because I think that the source of confusion is that we interpret operator as operator. In Kubeflow, there is a kind of like sometimes a misunderstanding, in my opinion, like we confuse operator and controllers a bit too much. We conflate too much the decisions. So my suggestion would be to have this conversation with the platform working group, in my opinion. So I see there are some raised hand there.
Yeah, Ramesh, if you allow me to first, because it will be more a question, and then you can help. Because one thing that it's maybe because I lack the context on the beginning of the project, because I see the things as two different things. I see that one thing is that installing model registry component, and this will be something by the manifest team, I understand. And a different thing, in my point of view from the user, is to create a model registry instance. You understand the two different concepts? Is one that I have model registry inside my platform, and this should be done manifests. And the second is how I create a model registry inside the platform. For instance, the use case. What if is the use case that Julio described in some of the issues, that I have one central model registry for my organization And another one is that I want to create my own model registry between you and me, Matteo, to share some libraries because I have a specific use case. So my question for you all is like, is this a valid use case that we should strive for? Because otherwise you'll be super confusing for users to create a new instance of model registry. And I really would like to push to do this inside the UI.
Just to quickly answer on this one, and then I give it to Ramesh. I think that this is a worthy discussion to have, but is like between us, I think that we are always happy to upstream as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Even the operator or part of the operator in a controller, if so makes sense. I think that everybody here agree. The thing is that I think that we need a conversation with the platform and sort of like sit down, because when this topic is brought up, in my opinion, there is always a bit of confusion, because there are also things that are beyond just this one, like the Helm chart things that I'm also relatively new to Kubeflow community, but every time that I see that somebody brings up Helm, there is a sort of like a lot of very diverging opinions. So I will be cautious of the discussion. We cannot discuss only between us. That's my point, Ramesh.
But makes sense, my understanding of the use case. Is this something that we align or not?
To the point of that one, I think that in the way that I interpreted the manifest that they asked us to do is to say, you give an installation through the manifest of the instance, and then if the people wants to do something different, you give them guidelines on how to do different. But it's sort of like not of a user, point and click things for necessary for every component. So it's up to us to define indeed where do we see the use case. If we see that this is a use case, why not? In my opinion, this is not the priority, however, at the moment, because at the moment we have it for the Kubeflow 1.10. I think we need to clarify first how the profile matches to the overall sort of like a tenancy point, because there I saw, for instance, the Julius, or let's say, let me step back 1 second. I think that there is some expectations if we have it as an instance, the multiple instances, to how to deploy. So we need to also govern and participate to that discussion, because we are using a component, Google MLMD, which is not multi-tenant by default. And so if the fact is, let's say, reuse a component, Google MLMD, but this does not support multi-tenancy, I think it's a bit unfair that it follows on us to resolve that multi-tenancy things just only to have a component installable. You see, it's a bit of an conversation, which I think it's worth it to have, but it needs to be scheduled for a post 1.10 and with the platform and the steering committee. Ramesh.
Thank you, Matthew. I think I agree with everything you said there. So, I think, as Matthew is saying, we need to be the way it is right now. I am parsing this one is installation part of sections of the operator. We are not. There is a little bit of a stronger opposition in the Kubeflow not to bring those things, right? But other than manifest, there is no agreement, as Matthew was saying. Whether it's Helm or something else, none of that. But what I've been a little bit more advocating or saying to Matthew and Elasio and others is, what about the some of the management of these instances you were talking about, right? For example, Elasio has been putting together some there's a conversation or a watch of inference service to pull its URL to push it back into the model registry. So there is a conversation that happens, not a full blown back to back communication, but some kind of a watching of the resource as well as reporting back into it, so that we decouple, right? So that we need a controller for those. So that has been putting some work. So, but what I was even advocating is how can we make some kind of a generic controller there? Then we can keep extending for these kind of a smaller use cases, right? Maybe a single instance, but it does multiple reconciliation groups for the doing something like that. So that may support our for our usability of the model registry. I'm not quite sure when you meant, creating the model registry, but, if that fits into that role, I think we can bring in that component inside, I mean, that functionality is what we are looking, right? Without much of the, conflict with the other teams. So I'm certainly open, I think we should do that. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, and just to be clear, thank you, Ramesh. And this is post 110 that Lucas and I were starting to discuss for the things that we should plan ahead for the community.
Mm-hmm. Post 110, for sure. Yeah.
And the second thing that is just like to start a discussion in the community, because in midstream we have an action to deploy for a model registry. So I have a model registry version, and you have a deploy action inside for model registry. I'd like to open through here if this is some, and in midstream we have a listing. We can connect a specific version to the deployments inside the platform. This is something that we should invest. It will work differently, as we all know, on Kubeflow than we have on ODH. But this is something that the community wants.
Yes, and I think that this is even higher in priority than the other one before. So in this case, let's take one example. It will be that you have a model registry in a profile, and in that profile, this deploy button from the UI should create a K-serve inference service in that profile. So this is clearly the sort of like the most clear approach. It is a bit to be sort of like clarified how it would work for a central model registry that is living in a sort of like central Kubeflow namespace or that thing. And for this one, we needed to understand what is the capability of the roles that we need. But definitely this is something that we need because it starts to make the connections of the from a UI point of view more than just the backend. Lucas.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to point out that deploy action model registry is something that we are really interested in bringing in. But there we are, well, not words not blocked, but I will suggest bringing that after we are able to redesign the flow, that there's already an action taking place. I don't want to mess everything there, but there's a few, like that part of the screen. It's tightly related on the model serving platform, which is under a plan to be refactored in the near future, since there's a few things that might work better, like that might improve and user experience flows. And I will suggest on holding that feature until we get that, so the port of the code will be easier, because the intention for that is just to make the user experience easier for the flows on which, for example, you only have K-serve installed. So that will be amazing, because that will match the upstream experience. It will be a closer experience to upstream rather than what we have right now, which is a little bit cumbersome.
Yeah, Lucas, I totally agree. I'm not talking about the details about how we are going to implement and when. It's more like if this should be one of the teams for the Y team for the post 110. That is it's my goal here.
My suggestion, and then of course, but okay, I'll give first my opinion, and then I will give a general suggestion. My opinion is that this item is of higher interest
Mhm.
than one of the crowd. Why? Because I see this one more attainable in general from a sort of like a platform point of view as well. And also it gives a UI representation of a capability that so far in the instruction we are saying, oh, do this from Python. And if somebody wants to use it from the UI, this is, in my opinion, most pressing to them. Here is then the suggestion is like about what we are discussing here. Then as well, consider raising a GitHub issue in Kubeflow Model Registry so that we can have it
Yep.
discussing there, not only here in the biweekly call. And then as well, it will be a nice thing for the roadmap for the Kubeflow 1.next, sort of like.
Yep. So Lucas and I, we are going to work on how the design will look like because we need to talk with the KeyServe team. So it's a lot of coordination that I expect will take some weeks to design, but definitely it's one of the things that we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You had something about the catalog that you wanted to discuss because I think
I think we can discuss about the catalog is another feature that yeah, Ramesh, we're not able to add this inside for one thing because we don't have time to work but it's the catalog. I think it's we are building inside Red Hat a way to have a catalog for users to select from a set of models like Hugging Face and then pick one is able to deploy Model Registry. But let's cut these two items first, I think, and then we can go next for the catalog. Just to don't overload Lucas and myself with all designs and discussion and go priority by priority if you all agree.
yeah, absolutely. But indeed, please make sure to sort of like add the catalog because it was written here. Catalog in the GitHub issue as idea for next.
So one thing I would, I guess we are talking a little bit more beyond 110 right here. So, but if at all we bring it in here, let's make sure that we commit to bringing them, getting them done in whatever 1.1, whatever the version we are going to work towards, right? And for the deploy, for sure, we need to have that. That without that, I think the model registry is semi-useless, in my opinion, at least. But yeah, the catalog would be nice to have for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what I meant by that is to capture typically because what I see is that it has a meaning to sort of like list it and have others from the community sort of like overlook it because we don't take that sort of like a decision just only between the discussion of this biweekly call. There are some people that cannot attend these biweekly calls. So I want to make sure that if at least we say, oh, here are the list of things that we are planning to work next. And in this priority, then at least if some people has a very valid point to raise it, this item should be brought up the list. At least we have a way to capture that one.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I just to wrap up this month, I expect, Ramesh, that the catalog conversation will be much more broader because there is integration asked with Kubeflow Trainer, with a lot of other projects, and that we need to be on sync on this functionality. But definitely something that we should have in future.
Yeah, and thank you to you, Heather. And indeed, it's like if there are other points, I think that we can add it to the tracker so that at least this can be a call to action for the people who will be watching the Kubeflow UI update. Sorry, Kubeflow Model Registry UI update as part of the 1.10. You can see what is the plan to go next. For anything that is concerning, I would say post 1.10 to start to think ahead. One item for sure that we know is coming is that as part of the graduation plan of the Kubeflow project in CNCF, we will have some action item to perform as a team here. So again, sorry for bringing in the chores for everybody, but sort of like we will have some coordination with the release team on keeping up the items and as well with Amber from the marketing efforts to make sure that we can hit on those requirements. That will be a thing. And then there is I think some Kubeflow SDK conversation that we can keep on track. Because one of the things that the Kubeflow community in general is looking forward to is to have an SDK, a Python-based SDK for this, and I think that Model Registry has a very good play in there. I've added to Andre's document and to Andre's GitHub issue RFE, the app, some comments, but I just invite everybody in the community to follow up on those discussions and add their comment as well. So I think this was pretty much everything that I've tracked for today's meetings. Is there any additional items that somebody wants to bring up? Thought, ideas, comments?
Was there any conversation already in the release team about 1.11, Mitchell? 1.11.
1.11? No, not right now.
Gotcha.
Because typically the release team works only on the sort of like on the deliverables. So
Right.
I'm expecting that for 1.11, one thing that I've asked though for the next release cycle is that additional platform requirements, sort of like, to be identified at the times of the dependency list. Because typically at the beginning of the release cycle, the platform issues like the planned dependency update that they want to run. And this was helpful because we kept it into account when we did it for the test matrix for the Kubernetes or any other component that we needed. But then there was some discussion about, adding security context to the deployment. These things that came from the platform, sort of like a bit rushed. So what I've asked is that if the platform is intending of making some changes, like to the authentication, authorizations, designs, these kind of things, to enlist them early, so at least we can plan ahead during the release cycle. Because frankly speaking, thank you again for Paul. He's not here today because, and to everybody who also updated the manifest, so Lucas and Eder, following the indication by Julius, those efforts and their activity was much appreciated. But at least on some of the changes that we had to make, those could have been sort of like anticipated or in direction before from the platform WG. So what I've asked to them to say, hey, if you're planning to work on certain ideas, please let us know.
Yeah.
You give us the intended updated version so that at least we can put it in the roadmap. So at least we don't, wake up sweat. That's the intent. So I definitely for the release meeting. All right. So if there are, I'll go just in running cycle for the countdown. If anybody has any action item going once, twice. All right. Thank you everybody for the participation and your contribution. Much appreciated. And again, thank you from the release team for all the efforts that everybody is participating with this release. It's very much appreciated. I always sort of like make sure that the kudos are flowing to the people. So with that, I see you tomorrow at the Kubeflow community meetings or in 2 weeks. Thanks everybody. Bye.